you mentioned the debate, and of course in the first term, there wasn't much debate about the term America First. People understood America First didn't mean America alone, and Trump's foreign policy fit very well within America First, creating peace. In fact, you could argue that his second term's taking that to an even higher level with peace agreements that keep us out of conflict so we can focus on the home front. But there is this debate about the rise of extremism on the right. We've seen it on the left, college campuses, President Trump's addressing that, but now we've seen it on the right. And Senator Ted Cruz of Texas gave a rousing address on the opening night of the conference that's usually closed to press because it's usually the leaders of the RJC, but he wanted it open because he wanted people to hear the message. And he gave a rousing address about how conservatives have to dissociate themselves from Nick Fuentes and from the hatred that's arising on the right. What do you say about this phenomenon of growing anti-Semitism on the right, and what should conservatives and Republicans do about it?
It doesn't have a place in the Republican Party, anti-Semitism. Our party was founded on the abolishment of slavery. That's what the Republican Party was founded upon. And so our party has always stood for civil rights. Our party has always stood for free exercise of thought, of speech, of religion. It's the bedrock of why our party, and a lot of times, sometimes we have these wild disagreements because we respect everybody's disagreement. But what we can't have is just out and outright discrimination or anti-Semitism. We can't have it. That is a cancer. It will be a cancer to Republicans like it's a cancer to America. There is no difference. And I think where the Republican Party, in my view, going forward, we have to exhibit moral clarity. The Democrats definitely are not exhibiting any moral clarity on any issue anywhere. There has to be a standard. There has to be a standard based upon Western civilization, yes, and based upon Judeo-Christian values, because that's the bedrock that's made America the country that it is. If we ignore that for current political speech or current some people who are now getting clicks and likes or whatever on social media, and we abandon that because somebody else is getting more eyeballs, it's going to be to the detriment of the Republican Party.
So how does one go about doing that? Because Senator Cruz said, look, it's pretty simple. If somebody says something that is morally abhorrent, you don't just sit there and nod and pretend you agree or agree, you stand up to it. But there is this tension because Republicans have fought very vigorously against cancel culture and against silencing people. So the counter argument is, well, if you're criticizing what people are saying, then you're canceling them. How would you address that tension?
No, I think criticism is fine. Like when it comes to the First Amendment, I tend to be an absolutist. I would rather hear your ignorance loud and clear. So it is beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are an ignorant human being. That doesn't mean I agree with you. That doesn't mean I won't protect your right to say it, because the Constitution has stood the test of time for 250 years. Because even in times where speech in this country was destructive of black people, there were still those who were allowed to speak. So I think there's a difference. What the left was doing was saying, because you had a view I can't abide, then I'm going to remove you from the public square.
All right.
And we got to be mindful of that. Do I support it? Absolutely not. But I want to hear people being fully ignorant. Right. I want to hear that.
And then the party decides what? That
I think at the end of the day, like all things in a free society, the people end up deciding where society ends, where society goes. But here's a key thing. You can't just have the voice of a Fuentes or somebody like that be the only voice that's heard. To Ted Cruz's point, there has to be a strong counter argument. Here at the RJC, I'm quite sure there's going to be a very strong counter argument. But that is what's necessary if you're going to have a free society. You got to be willing to stand up for what you believe in. Sometimes, even in your own party. Sometimes, even when you have to stand alone. You got to be willing to do it.